Okay, hello everybody. Thanks again for joining us for another edition here at Stay Plugged In of Spincast. Joining us from Indiana today, we have sophomore Max Leininger. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. First off, thank you so much for joining us for another edition here. Obviously, we'd love to get to know a little bit more about you and your role there at the university. So without further ado, if you can just start off telling us a little bit about yourself, how you kind of got into the esports world as a player, as a coach, where you are today, and we'll start there.
Okay, yeah. My name is Max. I am a sophomore. I'm actually doing business at IU, and I got involved in the gaming club at the beginning of sophomore year, so I didn't really know about it freshman year. And it's really been an experience for me because I started off playing for the B team at IU, and then they needed some, so I not only played but I also managed it.
Okay.
And then after a semester of that, I wanted to play with my friends more so. So I actually founded the third team at IU, and we competed in tournaments. We got second place in an online tournament, and that was, really fulfilling for us because we were just trying to have fun to start, but then we actually, we didn't go anywhere, but we did practices,
Yeah.
We met up, we talked about, strategy and all these things just to improve. And it kind of not only helped us get better at the game, but get closer as friends.
Awesome.
So I think that people, discount sometimes is that when you play games, you're not just playing for yourself. At least sometimes you're actually building connections with others, which I think is a big part of video games and why it's so prevalent today, is that people can feel a connection to others.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah.
I'm sorry. I was going to say, yeah, no doubt about it. I think the social aspect in terms of how it connects people is so critical. So if you could, and it sounds like there was some flexibility there. Obviously, you mentioned you came on in a second team, and then you took it upon yourself to found another team. And it sounds like they obviously started off pretty successful as well. But talk a little bit about those connections, if you will. Obviously, being younger, just getting into the school, now a sophomore, how or what type of impact do you think that has had on you, having that ability to be part of that organization?
Yeah, I think being a part of something in college especially is important, even in high school. But I think when you go to college, a lot of things that freshmen don't know is that there's so many opportunities. And the first thing that you should do is join a lot of clubs. Like, grades are important, of course. You need to keep up your grades. But more than anything, like, finding a home away from home at the college is one of the most important things I found to be. So, like, the other thing is you don't have to stay in the club all 4 years. You can go to some meetings. If you don't like it, you don't have to stay. Like, it does take some time to find what you enjoy, but I do think it's worth exploring a little bit. So I joined a business frat, and then I also joined the gaming club. So within the gaming club, I'm kind of only associated with the league side of it. I don't know many other people, but they do have, meetings once a week, I think. They used to, obviously. Now, because of the lockdown, none of that happened. But we'd have events, like we'd have, I can't remember what they called it, but it was a huge get-together where everyone in the club, they would rent out, like, basically a gymnasium. And everyone could bring, like, their PlayStation, their computers, or whatnot, and there'd be, like, and it was just a huge event for the gaming club. And now they did one online, obviously, where it's like they just set up tournaments online where they'd have special tournament codes for League. They have Rocket League, they have a CSGO team, they have a few others, but there's a lot of different teams. And even if, like, the game that you play, there's not a specific team at IU, like, don't be afraid to actually found one or find people who are interested in that, because, like, IU has, like, over 40,000 kids. Like, there's going to be somebody who plays that game. So it just takes, a little bit of digging to find somebody who you can connect with.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think the key phrase you said in that is you got to try to establish a home away from home. I think most parents, that's what they
Yeah.
look at. That's what they want for their son or daughter is find your pathway, obviously, do good in school, but
Yeah.
also, find your connections there. Make those connections early on in the process, and it makes it so much easier. And it's just amazing how there are so many different opportunities, but specifically on the gaming side or esports side of things, that's a common one just because, shoot, I'll still play video games. I mean, pretty much everyone at least has tried probably in one way, shape, or form at one point. It's just a matter of, as you said, 40,000 students finding that likeness and
Yeah.
putting them all together. So
Exactly.
that's awesome. So talk a little bit about your competitions and more importantly, when things are normal, and I know you just joined this year, so you probably didn't get to see a lot of normal based on this COVID-19.
No. Yeah. Yeah.
But what's your typical routine when you're part of the club or part of a team, whether it's a practice schedule wise, how often you
Yeah.
guys compete against others or scrim against others, etc.
Yeah. So within the league community specifically, I'm sure it's the same within any of the competitive teams. Is there's discords online that have uh, managers basically, and they're just looking for people to scrim against. So you have
Hmm.
scrimmage games. So what a typical day would look like is, let's say um, we talk amongst ourselves with my team, and everyone's free Mondays and Wednesdays, but we're really busy throughout the week. Tuesdays, Thursdays. So Monday, Wednesdays, whenever the time would fit. Since I was the manager and a player, I would go Discord, either the and try to find somebody willing to scrimmage us in like an actually competitive match where we're trying to win.
Right.
So that would you get home from school, you eat something, and then that would be like the practice. That's what the scrimmage is. So we would have practice maybe probably once or twice a week. Twice a week when we had like tournament stuff. It just really was based off of our schedule, like how free and how open our schedule was at the time. Because some weeks we didn't even practice. Like finals week, we
Yeah.
didn't practice. Like we don't have time to practice video games when we have school, but sometimes we do. So with our tournament schedules, we were in a few different tournaments. The tournaments are based off of like your rank in the game. So team's overall rank average would go into where you're placed in a tournament and what tournaments you could actually join. So
Hmm.
there's a lot of like, which are fun. A lot of the time they're free. They're like to get, um, I think they're to get this fee for the actual like league that's making it, right? So they
Yep.
like give like $100 prize to the number one team. You just join that with some friends if you want and play with those. So those are out there like all the time. But some of the tournaments that we joined was there's an upsurge tournament which is really big, and I can't remember the specific name of another one, but basically once a week we would have a tournament match, and it would be scheduled roughly on a Saturday night. But you were able to talk with the other captain and be like, hey, we're not free this day. Are you able to, work around that? And then most people are flexible to change, when you play the game. So it'd be like once a week during like the tournament time. It'd be like once a week tournament game and probably once a week scrimmage, maybe two during like the finals of the tournament week.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Very cool. So obviously flexibility was key, and it sounds like that's what you guys were able to conform to based on
Yeah,
school
for sure.
obviously, and then getting everybody together. That's
For sure.
fantastic. Scrim wise, competition wise, who are some of your biggest rivals,
Uh,
or at least who you like to play
well,
against?
yeah, we had one tournament. We didn't play college tournament because I made the team right after the cutoff, so it
Hmm.
kind of got a little messed up. But I know Illinois is a big rival within the league community. I'm pretty sure. But
Gotcha.
one of the teams uh, that we played against, so we named ourselves as the C team or the third team as Interns United because it's like IU.
Hmm.
And so that it was like a play on words, but that was
Nice.
fun. And we played against a team in the tournament, and their name was Jet Black Clover, and they were the only team that gave us trouble, and they were the ones who won it. We got second,
Got it.
and yeah, they beat us in the finals. But we actually were gonna scrimmage them after the tournament just for fun. Like they're just you make
Mhm.
connections through the tournaments. Like not only are you competing against these people, but they can actually turn out to be your friends later on.
No doubt about it. Again, it's such a huge community. It's unbelievable. And it's growing literally every single year, that the connections you can make are just vast. Talk a little bit about what you'd like to see if we were to fast forward going into next fall, next spring, and let's hope everyone's safe and everyone's able to get back to some sense of normalcy within their lives. What would you like to see within your program in general over
Yeah.
that time frame?
I think what would be really cool in college at least is to have like esports be a letter sport, and that would
Hmm.
mean that like there was actually somebody hired to recruit, if that makes sense, because it's
100%.
actually a massive industry and people don't understand how big it is yet because it's new, but it's actually, billions and billions of dollars. Like it's not going to leave anytime soon. It's going to
Right.
keep growing and keep getting bigger. And the college tournaments, the college teams continue to get bigger. Like IU had one team a few years ago and now we have four or
Wow.
three right now just for league. And we actually have a few players that graduated and then went to academy. So
Hmm.
academy for league is like uh, I was trying to get it in basketball terms, but I can't think about it. But it's just like the C League for basketball where you play before you go into the NBA. It's basically
Gotcha.
what it is.
Yeah,
So
the
they're
G
playing
League.
in the academy to see if, the G League, so that they can get recruited to LCS, which is like, the big boy league, the
Yes.
NBA.
Yep.
So there's a lot of people everywhere who are just really good at the game, and just having a place that they can, actually show that and grow and make friends while doing it, I think is important, which I think would be cool, like I said, for colleges to make it a letter sport, just
Yep.
because colleges can make money off of it, like they
Hmm.
could turn it into a business, and then students can also benefit because they can get scholarships for being good at games when they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, you said the key word there. You can make money at it, and trust me when I tell
Yeah.
you, sooner or later, the colleges will wake up to that, I think, and figure out a way. It is tough. There are so many governing bodies, whether it's NACE, TESPA, whatever, CSL.
Mhm.
There are so many different hands in the cookie jar right now because everybody realizes how big this can be. Hopefully, to your point, though, that's a whole separate podcast we can talk about probably forever. To find a governing body over all of college esports, I think would be critical, to expand the growth and also put some stability within the rules and foundations and everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, no, I definitely can understand and see that. So hopefully that does occur. Talk about the interest level. Now, you mentioned there's 40,000 students. You talked about league teams. I'm sure there's other teams as well. And I know you're not 100%
Hmm.
familiar with all of them. But in terms of rough size of that organization, and again, not looking for exact numbers, but what's the
Yeah, yeah.
interest level like?
I think the interest level is mm, it's a decent size. I think it's a few hundred in the gaming club. Now, people at the meetings probably be 100, but like with the event that is, where everyone gets together and you can bring your PlayStation, Xbox, you can bring your computers, and there's like prizes and tournaments. At events like that, I think there's probably 200 people that show up, and it's kind of like an all-night event. So
Yeah,
I there's a few hundred people in the gaming club for sure.
awesome, awesome. Now, obviously, parents love to hear about what type of balance you're able to put in with your studies, academics, as well as being part of the club and gaming and everything else. Talk a little bit about that as you go through your course curriculum with school, and then obviously you have stuff with the club and a number of events and practices, even though, again, we kind of got shut down early. How is that balance? Is it really hard to juggle? Not so hard? What's your day-to-day like?
Yeah. Um, it's not that hard, honestly. Like with the whole pandemic happening, it got a lot harder because
Hmm,
uh, I like to study, in the library at school. That
got
was
it.
I had, my study spot. I had my study floor where nobody was, and I was able to, get all my work done and do everything right. But
Yep,
then when everything stopped, I just, sat in my room all day, right? So it's obviously a little harder when that happens.
yep,
But when things are normal, it's honestly not that bad because you're at school. You can find places that you like to work at, and even if you work at home, as long as you find that balance, right? Like
right.
just being okay, we're going to practice, 1 to 2 times a week, and then the other days I'm going to, study and do what I have to do for school. Like, honestly, college isn't that much different than high school, which is what people don't understand. The only difference is you don't have people telling you what you need to be doing. You just have to find, like, that's the only difference with college and high school. The work's not harder. You know, AP classes in high school are just as hard as college classes, at least for the first 2 years. Obviously, it's going to get harder.
Yep.
But, you know, I've made it through so far with, you know, AB average playing video games. It's just finding ways to balance it yourself. I
Yeah.
think is the most important part.
No doubt. Max, as a parent, I can tell you, we're going to clip that last quote, that high school and college are about the same. It's just a matter of, you know, putting in that same type of effort because no one's telling you what to do. So for all those parents that are constantly saying, we're laying the foundation for you so that when you're away, you're doing it right. There you go. You just hit it on the nail. Very good. Well, we are actually just about up on time. So Max, first off, again, we sincerely appreciate you coming in to stay plugged in and taking a little bit of time just to give us a little bit of insight on your day-to-day. Obviously, you're early on still in your college career. Hopefully next year, as I mentioned, things will get a little bit back to normal for you and you'll continue to progress and go from there. We would love to circle back with you, keep you in
Yeah,
the loop
for
as to
sure.
what we have going on, but obviously follow up with what's going on with you. So we'll definitely reach back out. But if there's more and more kids doing it the way you're doing it, then I think the esports space is headed in a good direction. So again, appreciate you. Stay safe, and we'll definitely connect again soon. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
You got it. All of you guys watching, thank you so much for staying plugged in. Enjoyed the pin. I hope you enjoyed the Spincast, and we'll touch base the next time. Thank you.